Alexandria, 391 CE. Before the city fully wakes, a boy's reed pen is already moving. Philemon rises with the gulls, with the harbor fog, with the first pale light that bleeds through oiled linen stretched across a narrow window. He grinds his carbon black with the patience of a monk at prayer, and perhaps that is precisely what this is. His fingers, perpetually ink-stained to the second knuckle, know the weight of a calamus the way other boys know a fishing net or a soldier's grip. He copies a Stoic treatise this morning, his Coptic cross catching the lamplight as he leans close, lips-mouthing words his bishop would call heresy. He does not call them anything. He calls them beautiful. Somewhere beyond the window, rising above the harbor's salt and cedar, comes a sound that is not quite a crowd. Not yet. In the lamp-lit stillness of Demetrios's study, the air carries the mingled scent of cedar oil and old papyrus, the perfume of a civilization holding its breath. The old philosopher moves with deliberate care, his arthritic hands drawing back a worn linen cloth to reveal scrolls that should not exist. Texts bearing the names of condemned gods. Cosmologies that the bishop's edicts have consigned to ash and oblivion. Demetrios has spent 30 years practicing a quiet, dangerous heresy, not of belief, but of preservation. He traces the reed ink columns with a reverence Philemon recognizes, uneasily, as prayer. Outside, torchlight flickers across rooftops. Somewhere near the harbor, a crowd is gathering. The old man's eyes find his apprentices, and in that candlelit moment, Philemon understands that whatever sleeps beneath the ruins of the Serapeum will demand everything of him. 5 years have passed since the mob came, yet the Serapeum remembers. Philemon moves through the shattered colonnades at dusk, sandals crunching over blackened limestone, the air still carrying that ghost scent of burnt cedar and old incense. Colossal fragments of Serapis lie scattered like the bones of a fallen god, one vast marble eye staring upward at a sky that no longer answers its prayers. Weeds push through cracked mosaic floors where 10,000 pilgrims once knelt. He is trespassing in 2 directions at once, against Roman law and against something older, something his faith cannot entirely name. Then his foot finds it. A stone threshold, subtly recessed, exactly where Demetrios described, its carved lotus border worn smooth by hands long dead. Beneath this unremarkable slab, something has survived the fire, the hammers, and the forgetting. Beneath 3 feet of compacted earth and silence, Philemon finds them. His oil lamp trembles, throwing copper light across cedar shelves that have outlasted empires. The air is dense with cedar oil, and the particular sweetness of papyrus pressed against time. A smell older than his god, older than the city above him. His fingers brush the first scroll, and it unrolls with the patience of something that has waited centuries to be touched. The letters are Demotic, Greek, and something older still. Symbols that chart the movements of stars no living astronomer has named. Here are the mechanisms of creation, the secret mathematics of a cosmos the Church has already declared heretical. His heart hammers against his ribs like a man knocking at a door he knows he should not open. And yet he reads. Above him, the boots of Theophilus's soldiers are already crossing the forum. The procession fills the canopic way like a river of white linen and burning incense. Theophilus does not walk. He is carried forward on the momentum of absolute certainty, flanked by his parabolani, men whose scarred knuckles have settled theological arguments in darker ways than Scripture. Philemon freezes. Beneath his cloak, pressed hard against his ribs, the stolen papyrus crackles with every shallow breath, A sound surely the whole street must hear. One of the enforcers turns. His gaze is a millstone, slow and grinding. The boy does not run. Running is confession. Instead, Philemon bows, low, deliberate, the precise geometry of a faithful Christian son, and holds the position until the sandaled feet have passed. He straightens. The scroll is still there. So is the enforcer's eyes, watching from 30 paces back, not yet satisfied. The torches come before the men do. Guttering orange smears reflected in the harbor-dark puddles of the Rakotis quarter. Philemon presses himself into the shadow of a whitewashed wall, breath held, heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped sparrow. Across the narrow street, lamplight spills from Demetrios's doorway as the bishop's enforcers drag the old scholar into the cold night air. His papyrus-stained hands bound with leather cord, his gray beard catching the torchlight. The neighbors watch from their thresholds, silent, complicit, already forgetting. Then Demetrios turns. His eyes move slowly through the darkness with the patience of a man who has spent 60 years reading by failing light. They find the boy. One small nod, barely perceptible, waited with everything unsaid. Somewhere beneath the broken stones of a dead god's temple, 17 words of a lost world are waiting for Philemon to decide what kind of man he will become. 3 nights. That is all Philemon allows himself. By the light of a single oil lamp, the wick drowning in cheap tallow, he bends over fresh papyrus and writes until his fingers crack and bleed. The reed pen scratches without mercy. Around him the crypt breathes. Stale air thick with the dust of centuries, with cedar resin and something older, something sacred. He must choose. Cosmological hymns to Thoth, or the astronomical tables, the Hermetic dialogues, or the medical commentaries no living physician has read. Each abandoned scroll is its own small death. He copies in Greek, in Demotic, sometimes switching midline, driven by instinct and desperation. His Christian prayers and pagan words tangled together on the page. Dawn bleeds through the stone above him for the 3rd time. Somewhere beyond the ruins, boots are moving through the city streets. The city is burning. Smoke rolls black and acrid from the harbor road, where torchlight catches the gilded faces of smashed idols and the scattered pages of condemned texts. It is the spring of 415 CE. The streets of Alexandria run with the fever of holy war. Philemon moves through the chaos like a shadow, the stolen manuscripts pressed hard against his ribs beneath rough-spun linen. His sandals crack over broken pottery and charred papyrus, the air sharp with cedar resin and the copper stench of blood. Around him the mob surges, faces twisted, voices torn raw with scripture and rage. The great city devours its own wisdom by firelight. He does not stop. He cannot stop. Somewhere ahead, beyond the burning, a monk waits with a lantern, and a secret that could save everything, or condemn them both. Dawn breaks pale and salt-drenched over the canopic harbor, gulls crying over still water. Philemon arrives at the monastery gate trembling, the copied papyri pressed against his chest like a wound. He places them into Pachomios's weathered hands. Hands accustomed to prayer, now cradling something older than any prayer he knows. Then comes the news, spoken quietly, without ceremony. Demetrios is gone, taken overnight, his body already cooling somewhere beneath the bishop's fortress. The boy weeps openly, tears falling onto desert dust, and the monk does not look away. He lets grief be what it is. Then he speaks of the road south, the long, silent road to Wadi Natrun, where sandstone walls hold secrets the city cannot. The words will survive. But survival, Philemon will soon discover, demands one final, terrible price. He does not run. When the harbor fires cool to ash, and the mob's fever breaks like a summer storm, Philemon returns to the scriptorium. The reed pen finds his fingers as naturally as breath. Lamp-black ink, pressed from soot and gum Arabic, catches the flame of a single oil lamp. Around him, Alexandria reshapes itself. Louder churches, quieter gods, streets that smell of incense and broken stone. But here, in this narrow room where papyrus whispers beneath careful hands, something older than victory or defeat persists. He is 17. He is unremarkable. He is precisely what survival requires. A copyist does not conquer. He carries. One careful line at a time, he commits to memory what memory alone cannot hold. And somewhere beneath his bench, wrapped in linen, the hidden papyri wait, patient as buried seeds before an uncertain spring.